ever-changing landscape of global oil market, India and China, the world's leading oil consumers, continue their love affair with the heavily discounted Russian crude oil, accounting for 80% of Russia's oil exports back in May.
Because of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine in 2023, crude oil is, as is well known, the most talked about subject. Because of the high price of oil this year, several nations, like China and India, have diversified their sources of crude oil and reduced their reliance on West Asian nations. However, why don't African and East Asian nations follow suit? The first is simple since American pressure is present, but the second concerns our refinery capacity. I'll be describing the differences between oils from various parts of the world in this video. Crude oil, also known as petroleum, is a naturally occurring, unrefined liquid fossil fuel. It is formed over millions of years from the remains of ancient marine organisms such as algae and plankton that have been buried, and subjected to heat and pressure in the Earth's crust. Crude oil is composed of hydrocarbon compounds, which are molecules made up of hydrogen and carbon atoms. Crude oil is extracted from underground reservoirs or offshore oil fields through drilling wells. It is typically found in porous rock formations, such as sandstone or limestone, where it accumulates in underground reservoirs. Once extracted, crude oil is transported to refineries where it undergoes various refining processes to separate it into different components, such as gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, heating oil, and other petroleum products. The composition of crude oil can vary depending on its source, but it mainly consists of hydrocarbons of different molecular weights and structures. These hydrocarbons range from small, volatile molecules like methane and propane to larger, complex molecules like heavy oils and bitumen. The quality of crude oil is often measured by its density, API gravity, and sulfur content, which affect its market value and usability. But what is this API? API gravity, also known as the American Petroleum Institute gravity, is a measure of the density of petroleum liquids relative to water. It is commonly used in the oil and gas industry to classify and compare different types of crude oils. API gravity is expressed in degrees and is based on a scale developed by the American Petroleum Institute. The scale assigns a value of 10 to pure water and values less than 10 to liquids that are denser than water. Liquids lighter than water, such as crude oil, have values greater than 10. The formula is on the screen. You can pause it if you are interested. API gravity provides a standardized way to compare the density and quality of different crude oils. Lighter oils with higher API gravity values are generally considered more valuable, because they yield a larger proportion of high-value products like gasoline and jet fuel when refined. Heavier oils with lower API gravity values tend to produce more residual products like heavy fuel oil and asphalt. Crude oil plays a critical role in the global economy as a primary source of energy. It is used for various purposes, including transportation, power generation, and the production of numerous everyday products such as plastics, fertilizers, lubricants, and chemicals. The price of crude oil is a significant factor in determining fuel prices and can impact various industries and economies worldwide. Saudi oil. The quality of Saudi Arabia's crude oil is generally considered to be high. Saudi Arabian crude oil is classified as light and sweet, meaning it has a relatively low density, high API gravity, and a low sulfur content. Here are some key qualities of Saudi Arabian crude oil. API gravity. Saudi Arabian crude oil typically has a high API gravity, generally ranging between 33 and 45 degrees. Higher API gravity indicates lighter and less dense crude oil, which is easier to refine into higher value products such as gasoline, jet fuel, and diesel. Sulfur content. Saudi Arabian crude oil has a relatively low sulfur content, typically below 1%. Low sulfur content is desirable as it produces less sulfur dioxide emissions when burned, making it environmentally friendly and compliant with stricter emission standards. Poor point. Saudi Arabian crude oil has a relatively low pour point, which refers to the temperature at which the oil begins to solidify. Lower pour points mean that the oil remains liquid at lower temperatures, making it easier to handle and transport, particularly in colder climates. Distillation range. Saudi Arabian crude oil has a wide distillation range, meaning it yields a broad spectrum of hydrocarbon products during the refining process. This flexibility allows refineries to produce various fuels and petrochemicals from Saudi Arabian crude oil. These qualities make Saudi Arabian crude oil highly desirable for refiners worldwide, as it requires less refining and processing to produce valuable end products. The light and low sulfur characteristics of Saudi Arabian crude oil also contribute to its market value and competitiveness in global oil markets. Russian oil. Understanding that Russia is a large country with several oil-rich areas, the categorization of Russian crude oil is therefore different. Urals Blend. Urals Blend is the most widely traded grade of Russian crude oil. It is a medium sour crude oil produced in the Ural Mountains region, which includes western Siberia and some fields in European Russia. Urals Blend is known for its relatively high sulfur content and medium density. Siberian Light. Siberian Light is a high-quality crude oil produced in the fields of western Siberia, mainly in the Tyman and Khanty-Mansiysk regions. It is a light and sweet crude oil with low sulfur content and high API gravity. Siberian Light is considered a premium grade of Russian oil and is often priced higher than Urals Blend. ESPO Blend. Eastern Siberia Pacific Ocean Blend is a medium sour crude oil produced in eastern Siberia, primarily from fields in the Irkutsk and Krasnoyarsk regions. It is transported through the Eastern Siberia Pacific Ocean Pipeline, ESPO pipeline, to the Russian Far East and Asia-Pacific markets. ESPO Blend is characterized by its low sulfur content and medium density. REBCO, Russian Export Blend Crude Oil. REBCO is a blend of several Russian crude oil streams and is used as a benchmark for Russian oil exports. The blend consists of various grades from different regions, including Urals Blend, Siberian Light, and other smaller streams. REBCO's characteristics can vary depending on the specific blend composition. Sokol. Sokol is a light and sweet crude oil produced in the Sakhalin Island region of Russia. It is mainly extracted from the Sakhalin-1 project, which is a joint venture between Russian and international oil companies. Sokol crude oil is highly valued in the Asian market and is often priced at a premium due to its favorable quality. Russian crude oil exhibits some variations in quality due to the country's vast and diverse oil reserves. But here is its overall scoring. API gravity. Russian crude oil can vary widely in API gravity. It ranges from medium to heavy grades, typically between 20 and 40 degrees. Medium-grade oils, around 30 to 35 API, are relatively common. Sulfur content. Russian crude oil generally has a moderate to high sulfur content, often ranging from 0.5% to 2%. However, there are also some low sulfur varieties available. Pour point. The pour point of Russian crude oil can vary depending on the specific grade. Some types have relatively low pour points, while others may have higher pour points, indicating a tendency to solidify at lower temperatures. Distillation range. Russian crude oil generally has a wide distillation range, allowing for the production of a diverse range of petroleum products during the refining process. It can yield different fractions, including gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, and heavier products like fuel oil. It is worth noting that the quality of Russian crude oil can vary significantly depending on the specific oil field and production region. Different fields have different geological characteristics and thus exhibit variations in crude oil quality. Additionally, Advancements in drilling techniques and refining processes may influence the quality and value of Russian crude oil over time. Refineries that process Russian crude oil can adjust their operations to accommodate the specific qualities of the crude, allowing for the production of various refined products. Venezuelan crude oil. Venezuelan crude oil is known for its heavy and sour characteristics. Here are some key features of Venezuelan crude oil. API gravity. Venezuelan crude oil is typically classified as heavy, with API gravity ranging from around 10 to 20 degrees. Heavy crude oil is denser and contains a higher proportion of large hydrocarbon molecules, making it more challenging to refine compared to lighter crudes. Sulfur content. Venezuelan crude oil is often categorized as sour due to its relatively high sulfur content, typically ranging from 1% to 4% or even higher. Sour crude oil requires more extensive refining processes to reduce sulfur levels and comply with environmental regulations. Residue and asphalt content. Venezuelan crude oil contains a higher percentage of residue and asphalt compared to lighter crudes. This residue, also known as bottom-of-the-barrel product, is rich in heavy hydrocarbons and requires additional processing to convert it into more valuable products. Upgrader requirements. Venezuelan heavy crude oil typically requires specialized upgraders or extra processing units to convert it into lighter synthetic crude oil or upgrade its quality. These upgrades help reduce the viscosity and improve the API gravity of the crude, making it easier to transport and refine. Blending potential. Due to its heavy and sour nature, Venezuelan crude oil is often blended with lighter crudes or diluents to enhance its properties and improve its marketability. Blending can help adjust the API gravity and sulfur content of the crude to meet specific refinery requirements. It's important to note that the quality and characteristics of Venezuelan crude oil can vary across different oil fields and production regions within the country. The specific properties of Venezuelan crude oil have implications for its refining processes and the type of products that can be derived from it. Conclusion. I make this video for you to understand that it is not easy just to buy oil from any country and use it after distilling it. In this process, I also learned a lot because I also didn't know much about the topic of crude quality and refining. So, if you like this video, make sure to subscribe and share the video because